Welcome to the Buylist. This is episode 5.
This is not financial advice. This is cardboard. Ted, let's dive into some outsiders.
Yeah, let's talk about it, Nate. Definitely, we got some data coming up here. It's been a couple weeks for, well, what's it been? 2 weeks now for outsiders, week and a half, somewhere in there.
Yeah, week and a half. It feels like an eternity.
Feels like a long time, especially staring at these numbers, man. They were moving around quick, huh?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so in the last episode, I think we just touched on this briefly, that the data was just not worth looking at yet. You can see here on the 31st, we're recording this on the 3rd, so it's been a couple days since this data, but I always update on Fridays. We got some early numbers in here. I think the first thing that I like to see is that the non-foil Majestics are holding some weight here on this set, like we kind of predicted a couple weeks back.
Yeah, it's nice to see that you're not going to get completely hosed and all the value isn't like concentrated in the legendary slot. I think you can even see like from the week over week chart, like we saw a raise in the prices because I don't think people really appreciated that first week. It was just kind of like this race to the bottom. And like, I was definitely guilty of it myself, of like, we did our 100-box opening. It's just like yeet every single out the door as soon as possible.
Mm-hmm.
And you're trying to catch that falling knife. But the cards that are good and the cards that are playable really just said, okay, hold my beer.
Yeah.
And like you see Codex has hit 40, Premeditate sitting about 30. And then you've got some like really good Give and Take is sitting around like $8-9,
mm-hmm.
Which is really pulling up those numbers there.
Yeah, that's a good point, right? I'm sure people like yourself and others that just do massive box openings, they want to make sure that they're moving that out, right? Because it's a large investment. So you're going to get that. I think we've been in this game long enough to know that first week you kind of, as a buyer, you don't really want to jump right in and start buying play sets or buying your staples, because you could get burned there. But on the seller side, it's a kind of a different story. You kind of want to get that moving. So you see a lot of red numbers here. You see a lot of red high numbers. I would say some of those are just artifacts of a crazy launch weekend. There was a large event at min-max. I don't think anyone was buying off TCG Player because you just weren't going to get them fast enough. But people FOMO don't, singles buyers will just buy those up, right? And then things are starting to settle back in now. So like I think the legendaries overall, we're not going to get into it this week, but there's some like Flick Knives is the rainbow foil sitting at like $50. Van braces are sitting at like 30-ish the last time I looked, if that's right, Nate.
Yep.
I think those will shift around a bit, but I think the value will stay in that slot, right? The same with the Majestics, right? You mentioned Codex and Premeditate. Those are going to be, those have some sticking power, right? They're not going to move around. And like you said, there's a lot of Majestics that are just like $5 to $10 right now, which is kind of new for Flesh and Blood, and it's good to see actually, because it's fun to open this set, right? This weekend I took a case over to a buddy's mine, and we played sealed out of each box. All 4 of us got a box, and it was fun to open because you're like, hey, I got a Codex. In sets past, opening just a non-foil Majestic, you were like, throw that in the pile and move on, right? So if you didn't get the legendary, you were just like kind of like one tier, but not the case anymore. And I am excited for that. Actually, that's really cool.
I think one thing of note is I think that like we still have a lot of price memory kind of baked in from pre 2.0.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that we are seeing undervalued cold foil legendaries, and you see a slight uptick in the cold foil Majestic slot, but those are hard to pull. Those I may or may not have purchased a large quantity of Silver One Shurikens because they were $15 on TCG Player.
Yeah,
we opened 1 in 100 boxes.
Yeah.
If that card is busted at any point in the future, you need
Yeah.
3 to go in your deck if you want to be a fancy boy.
Hmm.
So or girl. So I was like, this is easiest like purchase of my life. And I bought a couple. I mean, I may or may not have bought a couple, but I we saw it
You're
with
gonna get us
Dynasty and
in
we saw it
trouble.
with yeah, we
We're gonna
don't
get a
cancel me.
buyout. Oh no,
Yeah.
I said it.
Uh,
Evil
no.
word.
But we've seen it with Uprising and we've seen it with Dynasty where the cold foils were really undervalued because people just wanted to kind of redeem their value of their box of cards that they don't want to use or play with, but they're actually incredibly rare. Like, I mean, you think about Crown of Providence, Flame
Yeah.
Scale Furnace, like you look at Shuko, Shuko is popping back up as well. And then you look at all of the cold foil legendaries in Dynasty, like I mean, I was picking up Sorayas for like $40. I have a lot of cool
Mm,
Sorayas. Like
yeah.
Bolton's Spirit of Irina was like $25 a cold foil. I picked up a bunch of those.
Yeah.
The Emperor was 30. Like they're cold foil legendaries, I think in 2.0 continue to be one of the most undervalued assets in Flesh and Blood. And I think that as they continue to sink, there's going to be a lot of good buying opportunities.
Yeah, though another thing, yeah, it's a good point. And another thing to note on this set particularly is that this is a draft set. There's a PT coming up in April. A ton of this product's going to be opened. So a ton. And that will influence the market because there's just going to be a lot of stuff open. After PT, we will start to see a cooling down as we get closer to Dusk Till Dawn, right? These boxes will not be opened very often, or as often, and because of that, we will be. I think you'll start to see some of the rebound on these cold foils, right? Because they just won't be there. Like the dagger cold foils, I think they're like right around 40-50 bucks. I still think that might be a little bit low. If Assassin becomes a mainstay, if Azuri made some waves, if she's playable and
Yep.
competitive, not like just tier A, maybe not S tier, people are going to want left and rights of those weapons. I mean, I do. But and so I think those will start to go up, right? And same with Rustling Leaves. I think that quiver has some very nice applications, for the Rangers, right? So that, getting those cold foils, I think as the box opening goes down, as draft season kind of dwindles off, as we get closer to a newer set, then we'll start to see those prices come back up and those cards become more rare.
I would actually push back on like the lot of boxes are going to get opened at the PT. Like if there's 400 people at the PT, there's going to be what, 50 draft pods?
No, I'm saying up move as the community practices for PT, right? As it's the new hot thing right now. I know here locally everybody's clamoring to draft. This set is very fun to draft. I've drafted it a couple times now. It's one of my favorites so far. It's definitely better than Uprising to me. I think this set will be drafted a lot for practice and then just for fun. But then, after PT, I think you'll start to see that dwindle off, right? It just gets old, right? And so, these boxes won't be opened at a rate we're seeing currently.
That's fair. I think like the cracking is done for the fun though, and like it will be like drafted like slightly. I think it'll have a similar trajectory as like Uprising. Like no one's
Yeah,
drafting
yeah,
Uprising anymore.
Uprising.
No one's
Yeah,
opening that anymore.
exactly.
So
Yeah, I
um,
guess what I'm saying is it doesn't compare back to like Dynasty, right? Because
yeah,
you kind
that's
of just
fair.
opened it for the singles, and then once that was done, that was the population, and people, like me, would open a box, weekly or something. But it's just different with supplemental versus draft sets, so it's kind of I think that does play into the pricing of these singles.
That's fair.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So yeah, we'll keep an eye on this, and I think yeah, we'll see where it settles out. I hope that these numbers stick. I think they will.
Yeah.
But yeah, very exciting, very good change by LSS from my side. I think this sets a really nice change of pace.
Yeah, I really, I mean, like, I still want to open more even after opening 100. I like,
Yeah.
it's very fun. It's very rewarding to open. Like the big hits are amazing. And J Dubs, if you're listening, um, like Light Marvel Dory, I said it a couple weeks ago. Like we've seen a little bit of spoilers. Like
No,
if you want to throw that in the
I
next
don't think
set just to make me look like a genius,
it's
that'd be great.
definitely Kasai's coming. It looks like that art, unless that card is, unless that's just card art, which would be the huge tease. I don't know, man. That looks like a light Kasai to me, but
We'll see.
we will. All right, let's move into the deep dive here. Nate, you got a couple going here with a common theme.
Yeah. So the deep dive this week, to continue on, like cards that kind of like pick up while everyone's dumping money into outsiders right now.
Yep.
If you're illusionist fanboy, if you want to play illusionist maybe in the future, the Dynasty Majestics that are not for the Ash are insanely cheap right now and have some pretty, like, I mean, like Phantasmal Symbiosis. This card's insane. Like it, if Prism was around when this card got released, oh my goodness! Like you can just be like, hey, I'm just gonna name your popper. Most decks don't run more than like 2 versions of poppers, and it's like
Yeah.
you just don't get to pop me this turn. Has some niche applications with like turning a snatch into an illusionist card, turning your own CNC into an illusionist card, with however they end up getting go again.
Yeah.
This card's just it's a yellow 6, 1 cost, 3 block. Like it wouldn't even need text on it because they were literally running Raging Onslaught for a while. Like this card's just really solid, and it's a quarter.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah, it's 25 cents right now. I think it's a pretty safe 75 cents to get your playset if you haven't already.
yep.
You can see here on the graph too, it just bounces around like $2. So,
Yeah.
you know, $1, $2. I think, you know, like you mentioned, Nate, while the outsiders hype is real right now, some of these cards can definitely be picked up and just slotted in your binder until you need them for later. And like you said, a 1 for 6, hard to beat it. It blocks for 3. It's a yellow, which if the light illusionist that's coming does anything with yellows, I think, you know, this is easy, right?
Yeah, and as we like go into my next couple cards, you'll see. I don't know if I said it on the pod yet, but maybe this is the first time we're getting a spooky illusionist. You can't convince me otherwise. Look at Frightmare. Look
Yeah.
at, is it the next card that we're?
Let's switch it over. No, it's going
No,
to be the third card.
third card. Okay. Bury the lead. I'll dive back into it later. Tome of Aho. It's a blue. It says draw a card. It can block 1 at the very worst. It's just like, it's like a, like, listen, it's 40 cents. Like there's going to be a common theme here. Like these Majestics, you can pick up an entire playset for probably, of all 3 of them, for probably like $5.
Yeah.
Like these cards are very cheap right now. Scoop them up. If you're planning on playing Illusionist, because like if the Illusionist wants to play these cards, they're gonna pop off, and they're gonna be like Leave No Witness territory, like Pulse Wave Harpoon territory. They're gonna go up to like $10 a card. So like scoop them up now before all the waifus realize.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. I mean, like this card could easily become $5 if it's like a sideboard card or something. So it's like, why not grab it now for 40 cents and then just, you know, be happy you did, and then you're not bumming when you have to shell out $15 for it, right? Yeah. I think like you said, draw cards, very good. It's a blue. It's, you know, like you at the very worst, it blocks 1. But yeah, drawing that card could have some sweet applications. We don't know what the rules are going to be for Illusionist moving forward. We have, like you had mentioned, Nate, we do see Ward 1 happening a lot, or Ward happening. You know, they edit it, or they change Spectral Shield's wordings on their card and stuff. So we'll have to see how that shapes out. And then on to the last one here.
There we go.
Yeah.
Spooky.
So the spookiness is here on this card
Dude,
art.
Tell me that there's no spooky illusionist coming. So we've had a yellow based light illusionist. We've had a draconic red illusionist. we're getting a blue spooky illusionist. Blue's kind of a spooky color, so
Yeah.
it's very thematic and on theme because LSS loves to be thematic and on theme. It's just gonna be a shadow illusionist that is spooky shit. I don't know what to tell you. Ghostly touch, freaking spectral procession,
Yeah.
frightmare. Like, I'm sorry. Like, look at all of the freaking the commons, like spectral rider, spectral prowler. The,
Yeah.
they're fucking ghosts, man. Like, there's gonna be a fucking spooky illusionist card. How? Oh man, I've said way too many f bombs. You're gonna have to bleep me.
Yeah.
I'm so excited right now. If you can't tell, we just went from
Yeah.
PG to X because, like,
To X,
listen,
yeah.
there-
Kids can't
I
watch now.
my wallet. I've never cared to play illusionist. I don't care about the class. I think it's a stupid class. But if there's a spooky illusionist, good Lord, help my wallet.
Yeah, I'd be right there with you, bud. I would be all about it.
Dude,
Yeah.
give me a illusionist with a freaking carrion husk. Let's go.
Oh my God.
J Dubs, I'm calling you out again. Give me spooky illusionist. And like this card, if that's the like play style, if there's like a way to generate these spectral shields, and then you just like, here's a freaking 0 for 8, eat it. Like,
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's got some play for sure. Again, it's 25 cents. I think this is,
dude,
you know, it's if you want to play illusionist that, moving forward, I think Dynasty in general showed a lot of like, I know we've talked about it personally, that Dynasty seemed like a very forward looking set, maybe
100%.
almost to its detriment. I would say I was definitely critical of that. I felt like it looked way too forward because some of these cards make no sense. Runeblade fan, and oh boy, they had some cards in there that make no sense, and they still make no sense. The book is just, I don't even. You guys gotta help me out with that one. You gotta release something soon because I don't get it. But yeah, so I mean, I think it's a safe bet. We know LSS, if you pay attention to the art, if you pay attention to the flavor text, they've been spoiling the name of the set 2 sets ahead in every set so far, right? You can find the flavor text and it says it right. The Uprising, the Dynasty, and Dust Till Dawn was on Soraya, right? In the text, we'll be fighting.
Wait, is that true?
Yes. Yeah. Dust Till Dawn is on her flavor text. It's
Dude.
like, she's like, we'll fight until dusk till dawn or something like that. And then in Uprising, there was like Dynasties Will Fall or something. I forgot the card. And then the set before that, it was set Uprising or something. So yeah, so they clearly put thought into the art and the flavor text and like little hidden things. It's just not by accident. They're not doing this, just willy-nilly. So I think you're right, Nate, that it might not be in Dust Till Dawn. It might be a year from now, but it's going to happen, I think, at some point.
I'm always right, Ted.
I'm always right. I'm always right. But yeah, so I mean, 24 cents. Why not pick it up? And that's kind of what we pride ourselves on, is trying to find these like little deals. And as a player just getting into the game, pick these up now, and then you won't have that heartburn when you're like, man, because Nate, how many cards do you have heartburn that you had to buy that went way up, and then you're like, oh, I remember looking at this when it was half the price or something, right? I have a long list of them.
Fortunately not so much anymore, but like, oh man, I remember when I was getting into the game, like, yeah, there's been a lot of there was a lot of times where I was just like, man, I knew I should have just bought that then, or like I should have just like gotten my play set. Especially when the cards are so cheap, it's like, yeah, I'll get them later, right? And then it's like, oh, that card's $5 now. I'm like, I could have had that for a quarter.
Yeah, that all you got is one that kind of stings me. I remember, and it was like, I don't think that one ever got super cheap, but I remember being like, it's a blue, it's a block 3. I'm a Briar. I like Briar. This could work in her. Yeah. And I just never got around to it. And then I had to pay like $15 each. And I was like, oh, that hurt. So yeah, don't do that. That's why we're here to help you out and point out some of these similarities and some of these forward-looking cards like these. Let's move on to my next one. This one is a little not as hidden, but it is Spellbound Creepers. Again, Runeblade. I gotta slip it into every episode, Nate. So thing to note here is that yeah, this card is just like the de facto leg piece, right? Like I know Briar was running snaps just because the way she was built, it was harder to use Spellbound Creepers, but with a new Shadow Runeblade coming out, I would bet that this is going to be in contention to be played. Its power level is insane. It is maybe some of the best boots in the game. Like, is there a better boot? Maybe Footsteps when Prism was around. But like even then, I think this is top of the class. 85 bucks for the rainbow foil, man. That's cheap.
Just buy the cold foil.
Yeah, $100 for the cold foil. You might as well just grab the cold foil. But either way, these are cheap. The rainbow foil, if it does seep, as we get closer to Dust Till Dawn, we start getting spoilers. I would bet that $85 is not where this thing sticks around at.
No, it's that first look like piece of equipment that like it's like the tectonic plating of like Runeblade legs, like or like scab skins. You just look there first and be like, does this make sense? Oh yeah, it does. Great. All right, we're done. Yeah. Like there's not a whole lot of good leg pieces either, like in the generic slot. So Spellbound Creepers.
Yep. Well, it's not to get too far into like the game and the rules, but like it being an instant makes it super powerful, right? If I'm going to talk about the power level, you can play this on your opponents. You can activate this on your opponent's turn, not play it, and do some shenanigans with Tome of Fendel and stuff. It gets pretty gnarly, man. Yeah, so yeah, it's really cool. It's but yeah, $85. It's going up. You can see here on the chart, this does include cold foils. You see the red line there's there was like a little spurt. People bought quite a few of them in one day and jumped it up to like 175. And then it just drops right back down, right? So there's a lot of chatter about those types of activities happening on TCG Player. They typically level out, as you can see here, but this will go up for sure.
Yeah, I think it's a good thing to highlight there is that like when there is a buyout, you're gonna see it come back down. You saw like another moon back up, and then like it really does just kind of like level out. Like the inventory's been almost permanently removed, but you do see a level out, especially with these sets that are considered like overprinted. There's a lot of it. So like people have it sitting in their basements. So like, holy crap, I can go get a New Horizons. Great. I'm going to go crack my 2 cases and hope to get a New Horizons or Spellbound Creepers because these cards just popped off.
Yeah. Yeah. And right now there's 12 listings. I think quantity wise, there's under 20 on TCG Player for the rainbow foils. If something happens, if some spoiler happens, right? If there's a new chain, new Shadow Runeblade, and it makes sense, these will disappear very quickly, and then you're going to be wishing you had one because they will return at a higher price, and they will stay that way because Dust Till Dawn. So grab them now if you're thinking about Dust Till Dawn at all. So, all right, Nate, and that's what we had for this week. I guess we do end with a buy list. So my buy list is, we're not going to throw up any graphics or anything, but my buy list is still Marvel Codexes. Those cards are sweet. Still want to get a couple more of those guys. Inertia is really cool. I would like to get some Frailty, but man, Frailty went up. Yeah, Frailty's nuts.
I should just like spend an absurd amount of money when it was $250. They're pretty. The hard thing is like we don't know the difference between the Japanese and Belgian print runs because a lot of the mass box opening was Belgium, right?
Yeah.
So we don't know. The Belgian print run is like completely jacked, and we don't have a whole. Rare. Yeah, they seem incredibly rare. I now have one of all 3. I have a second Frailty coming. I want to get some more Inertia, and I want a play set of all of them. Do they look amazing?
Yeah, that'd be sweet. That'd be sweet to have in the binder.
So I think the acquisition rate will be slower going forward because I used essentially the money I would have spent on Outsiders normally to purchase codexes.
Yeah, for sure.
So, but yeah, I'm right there with you. Codexes are my buy list right now. Like those
Yeah,
cards are
man.
just amazing looking, and
Yeah, LSS hit it out of the park, man. It was really cool. Really cool flavor. Really cool look. So yeah. I guess I think that's gonna wrap it up for this week. You got any parting shots, Nate?
No, thanks everybody for listening, watching each week, listening and watching. Oh my goodness, I need coffee, and it's like 9:30 at night.
Right.
But thanks everybody for the support. It's been really fun to do this. So what about you, Ted? You got anything else
Just
to hit people up?
yeah, just the same thing. Thanks for the comments. It's fun to interact with you guys. Please leave a comment below. I try to answer and comment back to all of them. Like and subscribe. It all helps. And just having a ton of fun with this. And thank you everyone for the support.
Yeah. Oh, one last thing, Michael Fang.
Yeah. Oh yeah, we got to shout out Michael Fang every week. True.
Homie.
Michael Fang is the homie, everyone.
Homie for life.
Yeah, for sure. All right, guys. That's going to do it. Talk to you next week.
Peace out.